prolific author, Papper completed a PhD in English literature while in his 70s. One recent book discusses how literature influences medicine.
I had my residency, as you know, with Dr. Robenstein, and went into the Army, and I was away at the war for 4+ years, I guess, and was in touch with him only episodically, which was true for many of us. I was, after BJ Day, I was assigned to Walter Reed and part-time at the Pentagon, and during one of those periods, I came to New York to see him, to talk with him about whether he wanted me to come back to Bellevue and New York University, or whether he didn't, and even to advise me on what we should do. I was, in a sense, something like a relationship to him that he had with Dr. Waters. It was a close one, and although he was not exactly the most usual kind of human being, I enjoyed that relationship, and I think he did too. And while coming to talk with him about it, he was telling me of this very good idea that he had about providing an opportunity for anesthesiologists who were medical officers in all of the armed forces to come back to be retrained for an entry into civilian life. That, from his standpoint, was understandable because he, although not a physician at the time, was a veteran of World War I, and I think when he came back, he felt that there was a lot of refitting to do. Well, this was not true for many of us in the armed forces in World War II. As a matter of fact, I think our clinical experience was, and for most of us, depending where we were, of course, was so large and so voluminous that we maybe had things to bring back, we thought, to our people who held the line in civilian life. It was not a conflict, it was just a different perception about such things. A small example, in one of my assignments, I worked with Sam Denson, who became a resident after the war, but he learned, as so many other young people did, on the job. And he used to say that we did so many brachial plexus blocks when we were very busy that he could stand across the room and throw a needle as a dart, and it would get in 9 times out of 10 in the right place. So we were pretty much confident in our abilities. And of course the big push in academic anesthesiology anyway, and I think in clinical, was partly the result of the pressure of those of us that had that experience, plus a group of young surgeons who for the first time were exposed to what Waters and his descendants could do, and they wanted it when they came home. So there we were with two different perceptions of what life was like, and yet I could see, and so could he right away, that no matter who had the need, this was going to be a good thing to do, to tell military people they were welcome home, and for us to feel that we were, because if I was any example of what happened, I certainly didn't know where I wanted to go, whether I belonged in academic work or in clinical practice, or whether I should do something else. We were all hard to understand the mindset, but many of us, I think, shared my view that we were going to be at war forever, and we couldn't think of re-entry into civilian life that way. But he had, he brought the Wisconsin religion with him, and his point was to bring basic science and clinical practice together in juxtaposition where it was obvious that better care for patients would result from the presence of science, and that's the kind of refresher he had in mind. Well, it was very clear that whether we were bringing anything important or not, that was a good idea for us too, no matter what.